What's up, fight fans? I just wanted to go ahead and get my UFC 88 predictions. This is my first video, and this is my fourth time recording this video because, man, when I get to talking about some of these fights, you know, it gets pretty exciting breaking down each fight. But I just want to say before we get started that if you enjoy this video, if you have any positive, negative comments, please post them. Try to respond to them and do my very best to you know, continue to evolve these videos. I'm used to speaking in front of people, but using the camcorder is kind of the thing that you know, is kind of new to me though. So any ideas are appreciated. I'm a big fight fan, so I love to have interaction about fighting and just really support the sport. So with that, let's get going. UFC 88 in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta, so this is going to be my first event that I can attend in person, and I'm real excited. We're going to do the preliminaries first, and the first fight they've got up is Rome Carneiro versus Rio Chonin. These guys have fought before. Chonin's beaten Anderson Silva. Carneiro's beaten Rich Clemente. These guys have fought before, and Chonin took it before, and I think Chonin will take it again. Just to keep it simple, I'll say Chonin by decision. The next fight will be Jason Lambert versus Jason McDonald. The athlete taking this fight on short notice. Put up a great fight against Damian Maia, but lost in the end of submission. Took this fight on short notice. Jason Lambert, heavy hands. I expect him to come out of the gate firing, but I expect him to tire late, and I expect McDonald to submit him. At very worst, to win a decision. Take McDonald. Next fight, Dong Nguyen Kim versus Matt Brown. Kim only has one submission, which is Matt Brown's probable weakness. So I expect this to be a stand-up war. I expect Matt Brown to, the way he's been fighting and advancing as a fighter, I expect Matt Brown to shock people. A lot of people have Kim, real excited about him coming up in the UFC. I expect Matt Brown to pull out the upset and to beat Kim, probably by knockout in the second or third round. The next fight will be Tim Boetsch versus Michael Pat. Don't know much about Pat. I think he's a late alternate sub. Not really sure. 15-2 Tim Boetsch, 7-2. He's already fought several great fighters though. Very strong in the clinch. Very powerful fighter. Probably prone to fatigue late in the fight again, but I think he will finish this fight early. We're going to say Boetsch by knockout in the first round. The next fight, which is probably the best match on the preliminary, maybe even potential fight of the night, is Thiago Tavares versus Kurt Pellegrino. Both these fighters, in my mind, are very similar. Both good on the ground, decent stand-up, great conditioning, great heart, great chins, great fighters. I expect this to be a war. I expect Tavares to pull this out. I think he's just a little bit better in certain aspects, and I think they're extremely similar fighters, and that's why it's such a great matchup. But I expect in the end maybe a 2-3 round war, maybe even a decision. I expect Tavares to pull this out. It'll be interesting to see, you know, Pellegrino, how he is in the third round. He was dominating Nate Diaz last time they fought, and Diaz found a way to win late. So we'll see how Pellegrino rebounds from that. But having said that, I am going to go with Thiago Tavares. Okay, to the main event, we've got Martin Kampmann versus Nate the Great Marquette. Nate basically coming off a loss. He actually won that fight in my mind. Great fight, but he had at least one, if not 2 points deducted, and 1 point was unfairly deducted, and he lost a close decision. But he does need to respond in this fight. Martin Kampmann, been inactive for a while, I think maybe due to injury. Kampmann is just a great all-around fighter, and he finds ways to win. The money would be on Nate in this. Most people's going to go with Nate. Nate is just well respected, well-rounded, great on the feet, great on the ground. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to go with Kampmann on this one. It's just that it factor. I just think that Kampmann's going to have, you know, find a way to win this match. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with Martin Kampmann. I really don't know how he's going to win, to be honest. You know, for the sake of argument, I'm going to say knockout. Okay, but who knows really? All right. The next fight will be Dan Henderson versus Rousimar Palhares. Dan Henderson, former Pride champion, fought at Who's Who of Mixed Martial Artists. Great fighter, world-class Greco, good right hand. Doesn't have trouble with the jiu-jitsu as he did earlier, you know, in his career. Rousimar Palhares, lots of people are very excited about this guy. Excellent world-class jiu-jitsu, just phenomenal on the ground. Never has knocked out a fighter though, and Dan Henderson, believe it or not, has never been knocked out. So This is going to come down to a decision or a submission for Pal Harris. I don't see him getting a decision over Henderson. If he's going to win, it's going to be by submission, in my opinion. I see Dan Henderson controlling this fight, staying out of trouble, trying to keep it on his feet. I see Dan Henderson eventually pulling out a submission or maybe even a late knockout. I'm going to pick Dan Henderson. The next fight is Karo Parisian versus Yoshiyuki Yoshida. Both of these guys have excellent judo. Parisian asked for this fight. Parisian's coming off several lackluster performances. He didn't look good in his last fight. He looked out of shape. And he also was diagnosed with panic attacks, which I think have affected him mentally. He says he's back to the old Cairo. He asked for this fight. But Yoshida's kind of on a nice run right now. I think Yoshida is more well-rounded than Parisian. In 31 fights, Parisian's never knocked out an opponent. He's going to have to, and Yoshida's judo is at least equal or close to it. I think that Parisian's going to have to win by decision. I just don't see him being able to handle Yoshida. Yoshida being a little more well-rounded. The next fight would be Rich Franklin versus Matt Hamill. Matt the Hammer Hamill is coming in this an underdog. Rich Franklin's 25-3. He's only lost to Machida and twice to Anderson Silva. Nobody wants to see Franklin and Silva 3. Franklin was destroyed the first 2 times. So I just a lot of people are picking Franklin, but I just am going to go with Hamill on this one. I think that his power, his wrestling, his clinch is just too much. His cardio is good late in the fight. His power remains late in the fight. If Franklin does capitalize with maybe a head kick or a body kick, Hamill does tend to keep his hands real high to even maybe his body a little bit exposed. If Franklin can capitalize on that, then certainly Franklin's well capable of winning this fight. But I think Hamill's going to pull the upset. I think Hamill's going to push the pace. I think when Franklin feels Hamill's power, that is going to be, the difference, because Hamill's a big 205, a lot of power, and can take a pretty good shot. I'm going to take Matt Hamill in this late 3rd round knockout. Final fight, Chuck the Iceman Liddell versus Rashad Sugar Evans. Chuck coming off a historic fight with Wanderlei Silva. He won a decision. He should have finished Silva. Could have finished Silva several times, but Silva showed the heart of a champion. And just an awesome fight, one for the ages. Before that, he had a two-loss streak going. Split decision, lost to Keith Jardine. I think he just wasn't in that zone that night. You can say he looked past him, he wasn't where he needed to be or whatever. Chuck said he just couldn't pull the trigger, and he still about finished him and lost a close split decision. But Jardine did deserve that win. Rampage, he just tried to lead from the outside with a body shot, and he got caught backing out with a counter hook. Perfect, just the way it goes, Rashad Evans, his most notable fight, Tito Ortiz, a fight in which Tito probably should have won, but Tito had a point deducted for grabbing the cage. And, but I will say this, Rashad was getting stronger as the fight went on. I think Rashad was a little bit intimidated by the stage. Tito kind of pulls a lot of head antics and, the whole mind game thing. And I think Rashad was a little affected by it early on. And but late as the fight went on, I think Rashad felt Tito giving out a little bit. And I think if the fight would have been 5 rounds, Rashad would have certainly won it. This is a great fight. Rashad's young. He's improving all the time. The problem is Rashad is a wrestler, and I just don't see him taking Chuck down. This is going to be a fight that's on the feet. Chuck has the best takedown defense, if not top 3 in MMA. And so it's going to be a war on the feet. And I think Chuck is just better at every area. And I just see Chuck knocking him out, probably a 2nd round knockout. I think Chuck will fill him out in the 1st round and kind of gauge him, a counter punch, and just kind of get a feel for Rashad. I think he'll come after him and finish him within the 2nd round. Guys, I appreciate it. If you enjoy this video, subscribe and and send me messages or whatever. I'll communicate. I love to interact with the MMA community, and I look forward to putting out a lot of videos in the future. So until then, I'll see you after Atlanta to give you my post-fight update. Thanks.